You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum, and Ryan Tejas, of course, is in the studio.
I'm here.
Ryan, we've been doing this for years.
I think we have surpassed my 5th anniversary of this.
No.
Yeah.
You've been doing it 5 years?
I want to say it was summer of 2019.
Holy crapazoids.
Yeah. I know.
That's amazing. Well, the reason we're here is because of you guys. So thanks for, listening to us every week. Even if you don't know a guest and you want to learn about something or learn about facing adversity or mental health stuff, thank you for tuning in every week. Whenever you tune in, our handles are at Inside of You Podcast on Instagram and Facebook, and at Inside of You Pod on the Twitter. Write a review. It really helps. And if you want to join Patron, which is something that has really saved the show. So you guys who support the show, thank you. And if you want to join Patreon to support us more, we could use the help. Why not? Right? Patreon.com/inside of you. There's a lot of perks. I shout out your name every episode, and you get boxes from me and notes and things. And it's a great community, and a lot of friendships have been made, and I appreciate it. My Instagram is at the Michael Rosenbaum. The link tree is there for the Tampa Bay Con that's coming up, Rose City Con, and the Smallville Con, Creation Con, which Ryan's going to be joining me and Tom Welling.
I will be.
And the Smallville Con in New Jersey, get tickets now. There's a Smallville Nights on Saturday night. Tom and I are doing, and it's going to sell out. So yeah, do that. And of course, Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath is out there. Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath, if you want your dogs to have fresh breath. Just a cap full of the stuff in your dog's water, odorless, tasteless, and your dog's breath will smell better. Trust me. I use it all the time. And last but not least is the fart book. My fart book, The Talented Farter, is out on pre-order on Amazon. Go to The Talented Farter or my Instagram tree link. Get it now. It's exciting. It's a sound book. It's about this kid, little Michael, who his only talent is farting. And his farts sound surprisingly like real things we hear every day. And it's sweet. The illustrations are amazing. The sounds are funny. It's a great gift. Go on Amazon, The Talented Farter. And the Inside of You online store has tons of merch and autograph stuff and Smallville stuff. Go to the Inside of You online store. The guest today, Ryan, is probably one of my, one of my favorites, favorite all-time rock and roll voices, period. Lou Gramm of Foreigner is, I don't know many frontmen who have a better voice than him. I mean, you think Lou Gramm, you think Steve Perry, you think Robert Plant. There aren't a lot that have the power and tonality.
Yeah.
He's just amazing. And he was on the podcast. I was a little starstruck, and he's got a book, Jukebox Hero, My 5 Decades in Rock and Roll. He signed it, but there it is. Make sure you order this because you are going to be pretty rocked out when you read this thing. His story is crazy, and I think you're going to love it. Jukebox Hero. And the story today of how he came up with that song is pretty cool. I loved it. This one was really, from me, I didn't even think, but then I realized who wouldn't want to listen to this guy? I just wanted to interview him. I wanted to talk to him. I was starstruck, and how many hits can he have?
There are so many hits.
I mean, I listen to Foreigner all the time,
and
even
one
his
of those
solo
things,
career.
It's been ubiquitous, and you don't even know it. Like, it's just all constantly in the background. Like, you can turn on a radio station anywhere in the world, and there's someone playing a Foreigner song.
Urgent, Waiting for a Girl Like You, I Want to Know What Love Is, Dirty White Boy.
Double Vision.
What's that song? That was Yesterday.
Feels like the first time.
Feels like the first time. New Monday. I love that song. I mean, feels like the first time. Come on. Yeah, it's endless. Great guest, Lou. Thanks for coming on. And let's get inside of Lou Gramm. It's my point of view. You're listening to Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum. Inside of You with Michael Rosenbaum was not recorded in front of a live studio audience. This is more than exciting for me.
Awesome.
It is. I mean, I know you get this all the time. You've had this your whole career, but to be in the room with you, just hanging out, and the first thing we start talking about, because you're from New York, at Rochester,
Rochester, New York.
and you've always been a Ranger fan.
Well, when I moved to New York in 1976 to be the lead singer of Foreigner, I've always been a sports fan, and I had a friend of mine who was letting go of his season's tickets to the Rangers.
Oh boy!
And he just happened to mention it to me, so I bought because you have to wait years to get season's tickets there, unless you know somebody who has them and more or less sells them to you, like a parallel move, you know.
Right. You save a lot of money that way.
Save a lot of money, and you save a lot of time.
How much were season tickets back then? Hang on a second.
I think they were over about $2,200-$2,300 a year for a ticket.
Now they're probably $500,000.
I don't know. I had nice seats. That they weren't up in the nosebleed section. They were about 8 rows behind the bench.
When you were growing up, did you just have the ear? Did you have the voice? Was it at a young age that you started? People were like, "Hey, Lou, you got something."
My parents were both musicians. My dad played trumpet in high school and started his own big band when he was 17.
And I bet you sang with them.
My dad was a fan of Harry James, the famous trumpet player.
Yeah.
And so when my dad started his big band, my mom, who went to another high school, came and auditioned as singer, and she got the job. And they fell in love and got married.
What?
Yeah.
That's like a movie.
It is like a movie. My dad had a regular job. He had to be at work at 6 a.m.
What did he do?
He worked the shears at a sheet metal place that made desks and file cabinets.
Good Lord.
Yeah, so he had to be there at 6 a.m. And half the time when he was playing, his big band days were over. Back in the early 50s, the big bands were over. It was the combos, the 4 or 5 piece combos. So he wouldn't get home till 2 or 2:30 in the morning. He had to be at work at 6.
Hardworking guy.
Hardworking guy.
You guys were close?
Oh, yes.
So you and your parents were very close. You had a functional childhood.
Very, very much so. And I had an older brother and a younger brother, and they both were musicians as well. So my mom gave my dad the ultimatum: either you put your horn away and stay working, or this family, if you continue playing, you're going to lose your job where you really make your money.
Right.
And you're going to lose your family too.
Jeez, so he had to stop that.
He put his horn away for 28 years.
It's probably sad for him.
It was sad for him, but eventually he just
Family comes first.
let it go. But as we kids grew up and left the house, he started to pick up the horn again. Just to put his lip in shape and his armature, and just started playing again, and it felt good. And within 5 years after my youngest brother was out of the house, my dad was forming a new big band.
Wow.
And we lived in the town of Gates,
Right.
in outside of Rochester, and he called the band the Gate Swingers.
The Gate Swingers.
And they had a lot of shows. They would play festivals and firemen's carnivals around Rochester and the suburbs and stuff. And he actually got about 6 or 7 guys that were in his high school big band to come and play with him.
Jeez.
30 years later.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Now, when did you know, or your parents go, Lewis? Did they say Lewis?
Lewis.
Did they say, hey, you've got a voice here? And was it sort of like something you were born with? Or do you think people are born with just a natural ability? Because you could learn how to sing a certain way. Like, I can sing, but I don't know if I'm pitchy. I don't know if I'm off key half the time.
Well, I remember when my mom and dad were, my dad wasn't working on weekends, and from the time I would get up out of bed in the morning, they'd have the jazz radio station on downstairs, loud, and my mom would be singing at the top of her lungs,
And she could sing?
Oh boy, she
She
had
was
she
good.
had a very good voice.
Wow.
And my dad would be pretending he was playing, and to wake up and to come down to that was awesome, you know.
Wow.
And so by 7 or 8 years old, I started playing drums. And my dad, you know, he didn't make a lot of money at his job, but his brother, when they were growing up, played drums. He played for 3 or 4 years and then quit. Still had his set of drums tucked away in his basement. They'd been tucked away for 35, 40 years. And so my dad went down and gave him $50 for the set of drums. They were old-fashioned set of drums. You couldn't tune the drums. The heads were calfskin and they were put on with pegs.
Jeez.
You know, and
I always forget you have to tune drums. You think you just put the drums down and start playing. You got to tune the snare, everything has to be tuned perfectly.
Yep. And so that was my first set of drums. The bass drum was a 28-inch bass drum. I could barely see over it, you know. But so then my dad would play horn and I would accompany him on the drums. I started learning all the big band arrangements. I certainly enjoyed playing drums, but you know, that was the musician side of me. But you know, I would sing along with songs on the radio, and after a little while, I knew that I had a knack for it, and then ended up getting into the school choirs and things like that, and eventually when I started putting together my own rock bands in my mid-teens, it just so happened that out of the guys I was playing with, I had the best voice. It wasn't a really good voice, but it was the best out of the bunch that I was playing with. So I ended up singing a lot of the songs and started emulating the singers that I liked.
Who are they?
Definitely John Lennon, Paul Rogers, Marvin Gaye.
Wow.
Aretha Franklin.
Were you a big Hendrix fan?
Yeah, but not of his singing.
Yeah, I guess the singing.
Yeah,
I guess the singing wasn't. Take it on, give you. Yeah. That's.
But I got a Hendrix story. When I was, I think, 13 or 14 years old, I knew he was playing in Rochester at the Rochester War Memorial, and I managed to find my way downtown and tried to get in the back door, the stage door. And there were people who had backstage passes, and security would open the door to let them in, and I would get a glimpse of Hendrix on the stage. And the music was unbelievable. And then the people would go through the door and the door would shut, and I'd be freezing outside, waiting for someone else to go in so I could hear a little more.
Wow. That is I could just picture you. That should be in a movie. The door opens and you get like 30 seconds and it closes and you're freezing and you're waiting for it to open. That is amazing. But when did you start to go, yeah?
That came shortly after when I was in junior high school. I was in the band and I joined the choir or the chorus, whatever they call it.
Choir.
Yeah.
Or chorus.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. And that's
who was your teacher? What was her name or his name?
It was Mrs. It was Mrs. Tarbell.
And Mrs. Tarbell.
Yes.
So what was one of those days where she's like, Lewis, let's hear something?
Well, I would be singing with the choir, and then there would be a song where in certain sections there would be a little solo part, and I asked her if I could sing that part, because when we first learned it, I knew the part, and I would go home and practice it, but she hadn't picked anybody to actually sing it yet. So I asked her.
You're ahead of the game.
Well, yeah, I asked her if I could sing it for her, and I did, and she says, "You've got it."
That's it.
And then the next year there was something else in the choir where two people did a whole song, sung a whole song in harmony together, and the choir backed them up, and I was one of those two people.
And people started paying attention to you then,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Would your mom and your dad say, "Hey, Lewis.
Yeah. They said you sing really good, Lou. You sing really good. You know.
Louis.
Yeah, Louis.
That's my grandpa's name, Louis.
Yep. And
so that just started the floodgates open. You
well,
got it.
well, actually, I was playing when I first I joined a band in
Black Sheep.
well, it was the band before Black Sheep. It was Poor Heart, and I was one of 3 singers.
3 singers.
Yeah, it was like Three Dog Night.
You gotcha.
And we eventually cut an album demo of original songs, and we never got signed. But it was a fun. It was my first real experience in a studio.
And how old are you at this point?
I'm 17.
17. And so after that came Black Sheep.
After that came Black Sheep, and I was playing drums and singing in Black Sheep.
So Phil Collins.
Yeah. I saved enough money to buy a brand new set of Ludwig drums, all black, and they were my tom-toms. I ordered them special. My tom-toms were 16 inches deep, real big tom-toms. My snare drum was a field drum, like the marching bands use,
Right.
the big deep ones.
Yeah.
It had a sound unbelievable, and I had a 28 by 14 inch bass drum, and those drums sounded like thunder. And I had a ball playing them, and I was playing and singing at the time.
You like that?
I like that, but trying to do both, they both suffered a little bit because you couldn't.
It's hard to pay attention to both.
That's exactly right. So we decided that we were going to look for a lead vocalist, and we auditioned about 7 or 8 of them. I didn't want to be the lead vocalist. I loved playing the drums.
Wow.
And we auditioned about 7 or 8 of them, and you know, I'd say most of them couldn't put the songs across the way they should be, and the ones that could were more interested in making money. They wanted to play the top 40 songs, and
you didn't want that
and make the money at the bar. No, I did not. And so we ended up finding a drummer. And I moved up to the front.
Wow.
We got ourselves to the point where we were going to be Kiss's opening act for the whole tour.
That's incredible.
It's incredible. And we were on Capitol Records, just like Kiss. And we played our first show in Boston at the Boston Academy of Music. And our first show was with Kiss. We played our whole album. And that's just about enough time that we had to play. You know, you were given about 50 minutes. Then they changed the equipment.
The main act and everything gets changed out.
So our first show, we got standing ovation, and we started coming off stage. And I turned to Kiss's tour manager, who was standing there with a big smile on his face. I says, "What should we do? Should we answer our ovation?" And he paused a minute. He goes, "Yeah, go on, go do one more song." So we went out and we did one more song, and that got a standing ovation. But we were smart enough to know that
get the fuck off the stage.
Yeah, and we did.
Inside of You is brought to you by Rocket Money. Why doesn't everybody have this app? Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. I don't know how many times we talked about this, but you want to watch a TV show on a streamer and you have to do the free trial or get it for a month, and then you forget that they kick in and they start charging you every month, and now you've paid $100 in the last 6 months. So Rocket Money is there for all of us. It's there to help. They will cancel any unwanted subscriptions, and with Rocket Money, I have full control over my subscriptions and a clear view of my expenses.
Rocket Money will even try to negotiate lowering your bills for you by up to 20%. All you have to do is submit a picture of your bill, and Rocket Money takes care of the rest, and they'll deal with the customer service for you.
Guys, Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's features. This is something everybody should have, and it's important. You want to save money, you got to get Rocket Money. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/inside. That's rocketmoney.com/inside. rocketmoney.com/inside.
We had a big old Pontiac station wagon, so all the guys in the band piled in the station wagon, and we drove back from Boston to Rochester on Christmas Eve night. Icy. And you know the story.
Yeah.
They hit a patch of ice on the New York State Thruway. The truck slipped off the road and tipped over.
And all the equipment was gone?
Well, they had bumps and bruises. The truck was not in great shape. And they couldn't tell how bad the equipment is because they couldn't get the back door open. The box on the truck was not square anymore, so the door opened about 2 feet, and that's as far as it would go. So we spent Christmas the next day with our family, but early the next morning, there were about 2 or 3 of us driving back to Albany to get that door open and see where we stood, because we were supposed to be in Florida on the 28th of December to pick up our tour with Kiss.
And that's not happening.
The drums were out of round. Heavy things had fallen on them, and they were not round anymore. They were oblong.
But so what you think, why not just get new fucking equipment?
Well,
Let's go.
We called Kiss's tour manager and told him the situation, and they said, you just finished a new album with Capitol Records. They're going to want you to be out promoting it. They should advance you on your royalties so you can get new equipment and another truck and get on the road again. So I thought, that's a damn good idea. So I called Capitol Records and told them what happened, and they said they'd get back to us. And they did about half a day later, and they dropped us from the label.
That's asinine.
Asinine.
So Black Sheep's done.
That was the end of Black Sheep.
Now
we got our insurance money in April, but our career was over then. You know, we missed our big chance.
Do you think if Black Sheep would have survived that night and there was no wreck and you would have kept going, Foreigner never would have happened with you?
I do think that. You know, Capitol Records didn't do us right. We had finished our second album when all this happened. We were touring to support our second album. We had a following already. You know, and this was going to break us open. And I think Black Sheep would have been the band.
Really?
I do. The band's very good. Very good. Great players. We had our own sound.
And you would have been okay if that would have happened.
Yeah. Have you ever heard any Black Sheep music? Yeah. And it was good band getting better. And you could see the growth between 2 albums.
Wow.
And so we would meet about once a week to try and figure out a way to continue. And because we hadn't got any money for the truck accident yet.
Jesus.
And so we were going to try and beg our parents to get us a small van and enough equipment to play local clubs around Rochester and Buffalo.
Are you still friends, or are they still alive?
Yes.
And you're still friends with them?
Very much so. I'm doing a reunion show with them in another month or 2.
Where are you doing it?
In Rochester.
That's going to be incredible.
Yeah, we do it every.
I see you get excited when you start talking about this.
4 or 5 years we do a show, and it still draws a lot of locals.
Now, at this time, you had already met Mick Jones.
Matter of fact, our Black Sheep's manager was an A&M Records representative, and Spooky Tooth, the band that Mick was in, was on A&M Records. So when they came to Rochester, they played the Auditorium Theater, and our manager says to the guys in Black Sheep, would you like to go hear Spooky Tooth? And we said, yeah, we'd love to. So he got us not only tickets to see the band, but we got to meet them backstage after the show. And I had the 2 Foreigner albums with me. And I met Mick, and I says, here, Mick, I says, give these a listen.
2 Black Sheep.
The 2 Black Sheep albums.
Black Sheep albums. You said Foreigner albums.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Black Sheep.
I got the 2 Black Sheep
Right.
albums. I gave them to Mick, and I says, this is my band. This is what we're about. He said, oh, great, thanks. So we kept meeting, and nothing happened. By the time we got the money for the truck and the equipment, we divided it up between us because we all needed the money desperately.
Right.
And the record label dropped us, and we kept meeting, but we kind of knew that it was over.
Right.
And just about that time, Mick called my parents, somehow got a hold of my parents, and my dad called me and said, somebody named Mick Jones called. He wants you to call him back.
So he finally listened to the tapes.
Yeah, to the record.
The record, right.
And called me and asked me if I would. He wasn't in Spooky Tooth anymore. He was living in New York City. He was putting together a new band and wanted to know if I was interested in coming to audition as the lead vocalist. And I says, geez, that's a great opportunity. I says, but I told him what happened to Black Sheep and the equipment wreck and stuff like that. And I told him I still believed in the band's ability to make great music, and we may be all done. I'm not sure yet, but I couldn't come to New York in good conscience without knowing that whatever I was doing here was done.
Right.
And so the next time Black Sheep met, I told them about the call to Mick Jones, and they said, and what did you say? I says, I told them that I was still in Black Sheep, and that's the band.
What a loyal son of a gun.
That's the band I believed in. And they said, Lou, he says, it's really great that we meet here and we try and find a way to keep going. But we all know it's over. Why don't you go audition and at least one of us will make it further than we've been.
So if it wasn't for those guys sort of giving you the okay,
I wouldn't have done it.
That loyal.
Yeah.
And so what was this audition like? I mean, did he say prepare a song?
Nope. So I went to audition and it was at a studio. And they had 3 or 4 songs recorded with no vocals. And they had been auditioning people right along. So every time somebody new came to audition, they would sing on these pre-recorded songs that the musicians of Foreigner had recorded.
Right.
And a new singer would sing along to them.
Looking for the sound.
They were looking for that sound. And so I think I sang 2 or 3 songs. And
were you nervous?
I was nervous. Yeah, I was nervous. I it wasn't like he sent me a tape or anything ahead of time.
Yeah.
So, the first time I heard the song, 5 minutes later, I was in the studio singing it.
And you just had the lyrics in front of you.
Yep. So it was a little stiff, but I was ad-libbing a little bit and trying to make it seem like
those Lou things.
Yeah, trying to make it seem like I've been singing it forever and stuff. So at the end of the day, Mick goes, want to come over to my apartment and have dinner? I said, sure. So I went over and met his wife and had a nice dinner. And then we went over to the corner of his living room where he had a little amp and a little keyboard set up and stuff. And he started playing, the song that he was working on,
What was that song?
Long, Long Way From Home.
Wow.
And, so he started to sing me the melody a little bit, and he says, "Oh, that's all I've got." He said, "I don't have any words or anything." So I had my steno pad with me, and we listened to it a couple times, and I started writing down words, and I kind of started singing the melody to his guitar chords, and then he'd jump in and suggest a little phrase, and we incorporate that, and then we cracked the title. And by the end of the evening, that song was complete.
Now, were you guys drinking? Were you having a little pot?
Yeah.
You were a little high?
A little
loose?
Bit. Yes.
And you felt good when you left that house?
Not blotto, just a little bit, And when I left that apartment to go back to where I was staying, I felt good. But it was still another 2 or 3 weeks of that type of thing. And then during the day, we would go to our manager's office. He had the top floor of a building on 57th and Broadway.
Right.
And he had offices around the outside, and on the inside was a big empty area where we rehearsed. We started rehearsing. Still, I didn't know if I was in the band yet.
I mean, but you wrote a song with the guy.
Yeah, I know, but I was.
Were you frustrated?
Yes, I was. I was waiting for him, in particular, to say, "Lou, you sound great. We'd love to have you in the band." But it was over a week of working without the satisfaction or the security of knowing that I wasn't just doing this to blow smoke.
Right.
And then I finally said, "Mick," I says, "I brought a satchel with me." I says, "I brought 3 pairs of underwear, 3 pairs of socks, a change of T-shirts, and that's it." I says, I've ran out of everything I had 2 days ago. I says, and I've got wet clothes hanging in the bathroom waiting to dry so I'd have something clean to wear the next day. I says, "Just tell me, am I in or not?" Yeah, you're in. What did you think? I says, "I've been waiting for you to tell me that I'm your singer." And he said, "Oh my God," he felt embarrassed. He goes, "Yeah," he says, we've all talked about it. You're the guy we want. Do you want to be the singer?" And I says, "Yes, I do."
That was it.
And that was it.
And then you started the writing, and you started
the writing,
rehearsing.
And they wanted me to move down there. They gave me a little money. I couldn't afford a studio apartment in Manhattan. They were bringing about $700 or $800 a month at the time, and in a decent section. And I ended. Dennis Elliott, the drummer, lived in Armonk.
Where the hell's Armonk?
It's you know where White Plains is?
Yeah.
It's about 20 miles north of White Plains. And White Plains is about a half an hour from Manhattan. And I ended up moving to a town called Katona.
Right.
And that was 20 minutes farther than Armonk. So Dennis and I would ride into Manhattan to rehearse every day together. And I would leave my car at his house. So we would rehearse, and we'd meet there around 11 in the morning and rehearse until about 9 or 10 at night. I'd never get home before midnight.
Are you someone like, if you compare you to the other members of the band, was everyone in it as long as possible? Or you kind of like, all right, this is a lot. Like, you want to go home and or were some people just, we got to keep doing this?
Yeah. Yes.
You were like that?
No,
you wanted to go home.
If they wanted to keep
going, your voice.
If they wanted to keep going like that, yeah, my voice, number one. And the other thing is, you want to meet me there at 9 in the morning and we'll go till 11 or 10 or 11 at night. That's great. But we don't start at 1 in the afternoon and go till 3 in the morning. Then I got to drive an hour and a half home.
Right.
Okay.
So that's frustrating.
Yeah.
The work ethic and the amount of driving and the.
Yeah. I mean, they lived a 5-minute cab ride from where we were rehearsing.
But you knew something at this point. You felt something was special.
Yes. Mick and I were almost every other night we'd come back to the rehearsal studio the next day with a song that was either done or mostly done. And now we had those songs that I sang in the studio had my vocal on it. They were sent out to record companies to garner interest. And now we had record companies from the West Coast come to New York to hear us rehearse.
Was that nerve-wracking?
Yes, it was.
But you did it.
We did it. And they all passed on us.
All of them.
All of them.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. BetterHelp has been with us for a long time, and there's a reason, because people are using it, and it's helping so many people. Now, does social media make it seem like everyone else is living the fabulous, amazing life while yours is not that? Comparison is the thief of joy, and it's easy to envy other people's lives. It might look like they have it all together, but in reality, they probably don't. Therapy from BetterHelp can help you focus on what you want instead of what others have, so you can start living your best life. Therapy is helpful for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself, and it isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. Therapy from BetterHelp can help every single one of us.
If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Stop comparing and start focusing with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/inside today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/inside.
Atlantic Records came with Jerry Greenberg was the president.
Jesus.
John Kolodner.
He came?
Yeah, he was head of A&R. He was the
Passed.
one. They passed. They showed interest, but they said they weren't sure, and they passed. And Jerry Greenberg and the vice president left, and John came back and he says, your songs are really good. He says, but they're all 6 and 7 minutes long. Nobody plays that kind of songs on the radio anymore. It's 3 minutes and 15 seconds. Let's take this song, which I really like, and let's chop this out. That sounds like filler. And Mick, no 6-minute guitar solos, 35, 40 seconds, and you're back into the song. So we took 2 songs.
What songs?
Feels Like the First Time. And I think, I'm not sure what the other one was, but we systematically did that to about 3 or 4 songs that were 5 or 6 minutes long and made them about 3.5 minutes long.
Changed the game.
Brought the Atlantic people back on, and they heard them, and they had contracts in their briefcases.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and then our manager got involved, and we signed with Atlantic.
That is an awesome story. Talk about work ethic and just like everybody passing and saying, "Oh, do this," and you, and as artists, you're probably like, "No, this is the way we want to do it."
Yeah, but what John said about our songs were 5 and 6 minutes long, and we were used to listening to hit radio from the time the Beatles and the Stones had their first hits. They were sometimes less than 3 minutes,
right?
And they were at the bottom of the fade.
What is your all-time favorite Foreigner song? If you just had to pick one,
I'd say Jukebox Hero.
Jukebox. Oh, I remember listening to that in my parents' attic on the 45 over and over as a little guy, just fixated on that song. I know every lyric to almost every one of your songs, but like Jukebox Hero is one of that's your favorite. And when did you write that one?
I started writing it. My wife and I, from the money that we got from the first couple albums, we bought we were living in an apartment, and we bought a little house in Katona. It was a two bedroom a colonial house on 3/4 of an acre, and it actually had a 2-car garage.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a cute little place, and we had our first child there, and while I hadn't been playing drums now for a while, but I brought my drums with me and set them up in the basement.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yes, and I bought a TX 4-track recorder, reel to reel.
Right.
And I had a cheesy little used synthesizer. Boom, 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 boom. The beginning of Jukebox, I managed to get that sound out of it.
Wow.
And I had the drum beat, just the basic beat going like the beginning of the song. And I started, just came to me, standing in the rain,
The lyrics just came to you.
Well, yeah, I mean, I had to work at them, but it wasn't difficult work. It kind of wrote itself.
I wanted to play just the intro of it. Will I get sued? Standing in the rain,
with his head hung low, he couldn't get no ticket. It was a sold-out show.
Damn.
Heard the roar of the crowd.
Dude, I mean, that is just epic.
So I had the TX going, and I put the drums down, and I put the drums down and the vocal down up to a little past that, just where it comes into one guitar,
Yeah.
And then I put the keyboard down and the keyboard pad underneath it, but I didn't do any guitar because I couldn't play
Right.
guitar. But it was enough to
Bring to the band.
mix down what I had written onto a cassette, and didn't bring it to the band. Brought it to Mick first.
What did he say?
Because I wanted to get his reaction on it, and he liked it. But we hadn't got to the chorus of the song or anything. So he started working with me on it, and
You got to that.
yeah, and it became that monster.
Isn't it amazing? It's like, I have a passion for music and I play and I have some albums and it's on a small scale, but just a passion. But you hear something and then you have the hook, but that hook might not be that hook that everyone gravitates towards. And you don't really know that. And you think it's great, but to me, it's so difficult to be able to, like, your intuition, your gut, and let it go and see where it falls and see how everybody else reacts. Did you feel like they're going to love this song? This is going to be a hit?
I wasn't sure because the dynamic stretched the gamut. Standing in the rain, against the doom, doom, doom.
Right.
Doom. It was very strange to start a song that way. And then where it ended up, Jukebox Hero, was the other end of the spectrum. And so Atlantic heard, when we finally played some of the cuts for Atlantic, they liked the song, but they came out immediately, says this couldn't possibly be a single, It's just not.
And what'd you say?
It's just not cut out for a single. I didn't say anything. I left it up to them because there was Urgent. There was a bunch of good songs that screamed single.
Right.
So I just let it go. But AOR radio, album oriented radio, picked up on Jukebox Hero right off the bat, and that was getting as much or more airplay on album radio as Urgent was getting played on hit radio.
Wow.
Okay.
That's incredible. And that's how it kind of moved into mainstream.
That's how it moved into mainstream and made that album fly up the charts.
And you looked at your wife and you're like, huh? We did that.
Yes. And I think I gained a serious modicum of respect from Mick as a songwriter on my own.
And now you're a Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame songwriters and musicians.
Yes. So that kind of solidified our writing partnership.
What is the hardest song to sing from even when you're the days where you're just young and belting it out? What was the song that when you sang, you even got a little butterflies or nerves and going, this is a hard one?
It was that one. And I've been waiting for a girl like you to go way up there. I've been waiting.
Yeah.
There were times
I try to karaoke that song because it seems, waiting for a girl like you. That can't be that.
Well, the verses are nice and
easy. But when you say waiting, that's it. I'm done with karaoke.
Yeah, and it was that one in Jukebox Hero were the biggest challenges.
Wow. And your riffs, did they love? Is it just something where you would just do these extra things in the song and weave in and out of choruses and just give it a little punch? And they were like, more of that. Everyone was into that.
Well, yeah, Mick liked when I did that, and he got to the point where he would tell me what to sing.
He could hear it.
Well, he could hear it and say, try singing that, try singing that. And a couple times it worked, and more than a couple times it didn't work. So when I knew he had an idea to try, he wanted me to try. My stomach would do a little flip because there was a chance that it wouldn't be something that sounded natural for me to do.
Right.
But he would like it and want it on the record.
Wow. Did you ever sometimes say, I don't see it. I don't see it.
Yeah, I did. I have to really pick those battles carefully.
Right.
And the ones that he wanted me to do, and I didn't like them, I would transform them a little bit as I was singing them into something that I could at least accept, even if I didn't like it.
I mean, those riffs, I want to know what love is. It's just like you're going, it's so big. I want you to shine. It's like you're going, and it's like that. I'm just like, that is like, I mean, I always said that you're one of the greatest voices in the history of rock and roll, which so many people obviously agree. But it's like a song like that where you just the runs and the fullness and the power of your voice. It's just like it's just
I appreciate that. Thank you.
yeah.
You know, the thing I liked was that I was able to do that kind of thing and then be able to do Hot Blooded or Jukebox Hero. They're the opposite ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And I was fortunate I could do both styles well.
Was there ever a song you're singing and you're just like, I can't sing this. I can't do it.
Yeah, there's a couple songs that Mick wrote that I can't. They don't come to mind right now which ones they are, but
But you just couldn't.
yeah, I had a difficult time singing them because they were either too sing-songy or you know, he's a great songwriter, Mick, but
Sometimes you need Whitney Houston.
yeah, well, no, it wasn't that. It was the opposite end of the spectrum. You needed Pee Wee Herman.
Oh, that high.
You know, no, that it was just so basic that you know, it was something. I didn't feel it was beneath me, but it just seemed too simplistic.
Yeah.
You know, how could you go from Jukebox Hero and I Want to Know Love Is into something that was basically it sounded like some of the McCartney songs that are almost babyish, you know?
Oh, like Uncle Albert.
Yeah, that kind of, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm looking at Mick like, you want me to sing that? You know? you know, I'll give you the example. I don't want to live without you.
I don't
Want to live without you. I don't want to live without you. Live without your love.
Right.
And I had the toughest time singing that because I didn't want any part of it.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah. You're like, this isn't what I want to do.
And
I mean, that's artistry though. That's like, hey, that's why bands, it's tough because, you know, people have their vision, you have your vision. You're like, this is what I want to stick to.
but my vision was very secondary to Mick's vision.
Right.
I don't want to live without you. It sounded like a school child song. You know, like
It was a big hit though.
When the second or third grade comes together, not even the choir, just the classroom. And now, children, we're going to sing, I don't want to live without, I don't want to live. It's very basic. I don't want to live without, I don't want to live. You know, and I was like,
but
no.
you have those moments in the song. Now I don't want to live. Like you have the big moments.
Yeah, but by then it was difficult to even do that. You know?
Right.
Because those moments should come on the tail end of something that means something, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't want to knock Mick's great songwriter, but like everybody else, you know, sometimes he just comes up with stuff that
You don't get.
you don't get.
Yeah. You ever kiss someone in the morning and you wish you hadn't? It's a real turnoff. Bad breath, that is. And that goes for everyone. Yes, I created a product called Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath. Just one full cap in your dog's water. And wow, it's odorless, tasteless. You'll be kissing your dogs all day.
My breath is delicious. Yeah, mine too. It's awesome.
Rosie's Puppy Fresh Breath. Get it on Amazon today. I mean, look, every rock star has it. You hear about it. Did you deal with a lot of issues with alcohol and drug addiction and have to go to get help for all that stuff? Were you
Eventually, yeah, I realized that I was out of control and I wasn't the only one, and I just didn't like living life that way. It kind of snuck up on me and before I realized that my temper and some of my mannerisms were off. I didn't recognize my own personality, and
was it a certain moment or just moments that just kind of added up?
Moments that added up.
And you just checked yourself in?
I did.
And when was that?
That was 1991. I was in New York and had played Madison Square Garden the night before, and I was supposed to fly home back to Rochester the next day, and all the Atlantic people were there. And after the show, it just turned into the party that never ended. I remember wandering back into my hotel room at about 5:30 in the morning, and I had an 8 o'clock flight to Rochester to catch. And I ended up calling my attorney, who was a good friend of mine at the time, and he was there that night, the night before too. And I says, I can't go on this way. I don't like living this way. I don't like what I'm doing to my life or my family. I says, I have a tough time looking in the mirror in the mornings. And I've got to take care of this now before I completely fall apart. And he mentioned a place called Hazleton in Minneapolis to me. And I called my wife and told her about the great show and the party afterwards, and that I wasn't making my plane back home. I says, and I told her that I decided to get something done about my problem.
And what'd she say?
She was so happy for me.
Wow. That's an enormous thing to do. I mean, it's someone I love, I'm very close with, finally just got into rehab. And it's something that our relationship kind of just, it was fractured, and
Yes.
and I did everything I could to help, and I finally I was sort of feeling what that person was feeling, and in my own way, like just anxious all the time, and what's going to happen to this person, and finally I just said, I'm not going to do this anymore. And so it was a surprise when they finally got into rehab and they're taking care of it. It was just like, oh my God, I was so happy. I mean, so happy that I'm not, there's a good chance maybe I won't lose this person now, and how long were you there? Like 30 days?
30 days.
That was enough?
That was enough.
And ever since?
32 years clean and sober.
32 years.
What was it? 91 I went.
I don't know. Don't tell me about math.
Well, so it was 1991 I went in there, and it's 2009,
29, about 32, 33 years.
33 years. Yep.
And you don't miss it?
No.
Did you have drinks before you went on stage at that time?
Not too much. It was mostly after the show that everything just
fell apart.
Well,
or
yeah, I mean it was party time,
Did you ever have a bad show where you're like, my voice sucked, it was blown, I couldn't get it?
Yeah, every once in a while, yeah.
And is it something you're just like, hey, it's part of it?
Well, a lot of it was because we played 3 shows in a row, had a night off, and then did 2 shows in a row, and had a night off, then did 3 shows in a row, then had a night off, and the more we recorded new songs, and Mick would write songs that would test the very top of my range, and you string over the course of an hour and a half of songs with about 7 or 8 songs that do that, and it takes more than a day off to recover, and you've got to do 3 in a row before you get your first day off.
There's no way. It's impossible.
Possible. I started finding ways to sing around the high notes, which didn't endear me to the audience that much. They were waiting for those notes, and I just couldn't hit them.
Yeah. Understandably.
Yeah.
I mean, would you always finish with like Jukebox Hero and Feels Like the First Time?
Yes.
Those were the last songs.
Yep.
There was no debate on it. These are the songs we're ending with. Fuck you. That was it. Yeah. I
It feels like the first time opened the set. Jukebox Hero closed the set.
Close the set. What is the one concert that you always remember? This was the best concert of my life.
There was one in Madison Square Garden, for sure. 1 or 2 in Madison Square Garden that were great. Atlantic Records 50th, I think 45th or 50th anniversary as a record label with Ahmet Ertegun there, the chairman, and all the great Atlantic artists from the time Atlantic became a label. Aretha Franklin, who wasn't on Atlantic anymore, but she came there to celebrate. Phil Collins. It was a lot of people.
And you blew it away.
We blew it away. As a matter of fact, when we did I Want to Know What Love Is, I was wondering who the choir, if they got a black gospel choir, and who do I see walking on the stage when it was almost time for the choir to sing? Phil Collins, the guys in Genesis.
What? And you didn't know this?
No, the guys in Vanilla Fudge, the guys in all these great Atlantic bands and girl bands and individual stars.
That is amazing.
And that brought the place down.
I would say that brought the place down. I mean, when you look back at all this success, well, first of all, congratulations on being inducted into the
Thank you
Rock
so
and Roll
much.
Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
How much, honestly, did that mean to you when you heard the news? Were you like, it's about time?
Yeah, it was about time. It was 20 years, at least 20 years after our peers from the same year range that we started our band and other people started their bands, and they were already in the Hall of Fame 10 years. And we were wondering what's wrong with us, and we're going, how many hits, how many albums sold, and we just couldn't figure out what in the world was going on.
Somebody at the head, somebody who's making those decisions just didn't like you.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to. It's all politics, Oscars.
I don't know I don't know what it's like in the other arenas, but I imagine it's somewhat the same.
Did you get emotional when you got in?
Well, I was emotional when we got nominated. Yeah. When then the votes start coming in from the upper echelon of the Hall of Fame, then members of the Hall of Fame also carry some clout, and then the public at large also counts, and I think for the most part we started out behind Ozzy and Peter Frampton. And then we passed Peter Frampton, and we were behind Ozzy. And then Ozzy was displaced by Dave Matthews. That's right.
Dave Matthews.
Yeah, and we finished two out of 13, number 2 out of 13. I think they took the top 7 to induct.
Wow. What other bands in the 70s and 80s did you really go? But because you're one of the best bands ever, and so, but do you listen to other bands?
Of course.
Like in the 80s, who was your top 2 bands that you'd listen to and go, I really like this music?
I liked R.E.M. I liked the Police.
And that's a lot different from Foreigner.
Yes. I liked the Clash.
The Clash, my mother loves the Clash. What about the 70s?
Oh, geez.
Did you like Zeppelin?
Yeah, I liked Zeppelin. Yep. Matter of fact, they jammed with us.
What?
We were playing Munich, and we came off stage for our encore. We came off the towel off, and then people were cheering stuff. Then we go back on. We came off in our dressing room, and Robert Plant and Jimmy Page were there.
Come on.
And they were like, can we jam with you guys on something? So we jammed Hot Blooded with them, and then Hot Blooded broke into Whole Lotta Love.
And you sang Whole Lotta Love?
Of course.
You know every word?
Yeah. Well, I didn't sing the whole song. We sang a verse and a chorus,
That is incredible.
It was cool. Great standing next to Robert Plant singing with him was just a thrill. And that brought the house down. They wouldn't stop.
I mean, how could it stop? You've had so many amazing moments. You were looking at the Lost Boys VHS tape. And you're like, oh, I did a song on that.
Yeah, I was recording my second solo album. My first solo album, and my producer got a call from Joel Schumacher, who he knew, and said that they were looking for the title song to the movie. Did Lou have anything? I know you're recording with Lou. Does he have anything? And my producer goes, yeah, of course he's got something. I'll have him put a demo together for you. And
You didn't have anything, did you?
well, I had ideas, but they were all earmarked for my album.
Right.
And we shuffled through the rough ideas that weren't finished, and found one that we thought, given what we knew the movie was going to be about, we found one that the musical theme and we could shape the lyrics into something that would be more.
So Lost in the Shadow. You came up with that to compliment the movie.
Yes. Say hello to the night, lost in the shadow.
Perfect. And they loved it, and that was it.
And they loved it, and that was it. And then then in the recording studio, they moved in some props and stuff, and we did the video for it.
That fast turnaround.
Yep.
Things happen fast, don't they?
When they want to.
My God. Now, a song like that in a hit movie, do you make pretty good money?
Yes.
It's good. You negotiate that.
Well, yeah, we negotiate that. And
residuals.
It ran forever. It ran on cable. You know, it just goes into circulation for years.
Navy SEALs. You had a song in that?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, that's got to be just a treat.
It is. It's a big treat to do that.
Yeah.
I've always enjoyed it.
You know, one of my favorite songs is Just Between You and Me.
I love that
and
song.
Midnight Blue.
Thank you.
I love those songs. I love when I've seen you play a few times, and I love your solo career. And you're touring now. You've been touring. You don't stop touring. I even saw you at YouTube Theater when you kind of came back with Foreigner, and you got up on stage and sang a couple of songs.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about? Because I'm sure you've retired before, right? You said, I'm done. What makes you come back?
It's just it's a overwhelming feeling inside that I'm not done.
You love it.
And I have more creativity and more of the type of rock and roll I like to perform. I have more of that to give.
I love it. So I'll be hearing you for a long time. You're touring now. Where do you love playing mostly?
It could be Timbuktu, really.
You just want to play.
I like to play. And
you like the guys. You like hanging out.
Yeah, I like to hang out. I like to play good venues, whether they're amphitheaters, whether they're just regular theaters, or could be a football field. Be fine with me.
Now, what's special about this, I'm going to say some of these names from your band. Two of these guys are former
alumni. Yep.
Alumni. Tony Franklin on bass.
Yes, he's a great bass player. He played with the Firm.
Yep.
And a number of other people.
Scott Gilman
sax and rhythm guitar. Played with Foreigner in the 80s and the 90s.
Really?
Yes. He wasn't a member of Foreigner, but he was part of our stage show.
Ben Graham, drums.
Ben Graham.
Graham.
That's my brother.
Wait, your brother plays with you?
Yes.
How cool is that? You're playing with your brother.
Now
you've been playing with him a while though, actually. Haven't you?
On and off, on and off.
Now, do you guys ever get into it?
No,
you don't.
No, he's got a real even temperament, and I get along with him famously. Now, he's the guy that learned trumpet from my father. And when I had my drums set up in the basement, I would practice my drums. I'd put the sticks down and go out and ride my bike down the street and play ball or play catch or do stuff with my friends. Then I'd come back to the house and go back down in the basement to play my drums. And the stool was low and I couldn't reach the cymbals. And the snare drum was up to my nose.
He was playing
my drums. He ended up going to Berkeley in Boston.
Wow.
For percussion.
So he's good.
He's great.
That's great, man. Keep it in the family. Jeff Jacobs, keys.
Yep, he played with Foreigner in the late 80s and 90s too.
And Alex Garcia.
Yeah, guitar. Alex is a great guitar player. He played with what's that? Did you hear Bad Bunny?
Yep, I've heard of Bad Bunny.
Yeah.
Jennifer Lopez. Wow. And Jennifer Lopez.
Yes.
So these are a great bunch of guys, talented as hell.
Talented, funny. We get along famously.
I love that. You seem happy.
I'm at peace.
I'm sure there was a lot of times where you weren't happy.
There's a lot of times where I wasn't happy.
Me
a lot
too.
of times where I wasn't happy with myself or what was going on around me.
Do you remember the moment when your parents looked at you and your brothers and sisters and just gotta go, "Oh my God, our our sibling, our son, is a rock star.
No sisters, just brothers.
Oh, just all brothers?
One older, one younger.
One younger. So do you remember the moment where they said, they looked at you differently in a way?
They were very afraid when I started achieving real success, because they I don't know how they knew, but they were savvy enough to know potentially what a life like that could do to you. You know, it could break up your marriage. It could ruin your health. It could put you in a nut house.
Yeah.
You know,
It almost did, probably, if you did.
Yes, and I would see and read and hear about popular musicians that I respected and thought were talented that just fell apart.
Wow. So they were scared for you.
They were scared for me. They were excited, but continued to gently remind me of the pitfalls and that I should keep my eyes open.
Did your mom ever say, "I want you to come to my hairstylist with me. I want you to meet them"?
No.
She never took it. My grandma did that after I was on a show. She'd go, "Come with me when I get a haircut. They want to meet you."
Yeah, they want to get their hands on your hair.
Yeah, I guess. And you had some good ass. You still have good hair.
Yeah, not bad.
How do you still have such good hair?
I just take care of it. That's all. I try and
I wash it.
Yeah, I wash it right. With the right product, right?
This has been, with the right, but this has been a real amazing time. I really, did you enjoy this?
Very much.
This has been awesome. I cannot wait to come and see you perform again. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much.
So well deserved.
Thank you.
Thanks for signing my Foreigner album. This is awesome. Do you remember posing for that? No, they just drew it.
It was based on a picture.
It was.
Yeah, and then somebody did a pen and ink.
Do you have the original picture?
No.
Did you keep stuff like that? Did you keep a lot of things?
I did, but I think Mick's the only one who has the picture.
Oh, I see. Thanks for being here. This has been awesome.
I enjoyed it a lot. Thank you.
Could you tell I was a little starstruck?
I could.
Could you? Is that not good?
No, well, my bad at the beginning for not getting him his close-up signing your book. I missed the record button.
Well, he was signing my album.
He was signing your album.
Yeah, so there wasn't, but hopefully Jason was able to put it together.
It sounded all great.
Yeah, we figured it out, so I'm sure Jason will make it look good, but I hope you enjoyed that interview. And thank you, Lou Gramm. Yes. Well, I guess we need to do our shout outs to our top tier patrons. These are the folks that give back. I always say it's like a subscription for like a streamer.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people pay $15, whatever. Some people want to give a buck, $5, $10, whatever. There's different tiers. Support the podcast. Patreon.com/inside of you. Here are the top tiers. People we could not live without, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Nancy D. Also, thank you for coming to the our show, Sunspin. Thank you for coming to watch the band. And we played virtually for 55 minutes. And we had a great time. And thank you for all your comments. And we were responding to you. And I hope you had fun. We're going to do another one soon. So be on the lookout on the Instagram. Nancy D, Leah and Kristin, Little Lisa, Yukiko, Jelly, Brian H, Nico P, Robert B, Jason W, Sophie M, Raj C, Jennifer N, Stacy L, Jamal F, Janelle B, Mike E, Eldon Supremo.
99 more, Santiago M, Leanne P, Maddie S, Belinda N, Dave H,
Dave Hole,
Brad D, Ray H, Tabitha T, Tom N, Talia M, Betsy D, Rhiannon C, Corey K, Dev Nixon.
Rhiannon C and Corey K, Dev Nixon. Yeah, I like those people. Michelle A, Jeremy C, Mr. M, Eugene and Leah, The Salty Ham, Mel S, Eric H, Oracle, Amanda R, William K, Jorel, Jam and J, who we just talked to. She was at the show, Sunspin Band. Thank you, Jam and J. Leanne J, hi. Luna R, Mike F, Jules M, Jessica B, Kaylee J, Charlene A, Marlene, Marion Louise L,
Romeo the Band, Frank B, Jen T, Nikki L, April RM, Randy S, Rachel D, Jen Carolina Girl, Nick W, Stephanie and Evan, or
Stefan,
Charlene A, Don G, Jenny B76.
Jennifer R. She's a pirate. Tina E. NG Tracy. Love you guys. Keith B. Heather and Greg. Ellie K. Elizabeth L. Ben B. Jammin. Pierre C. Sultan. Ingrid C. Brandon C. Thanks for all the newcomers joining Patreon and for all the love and support. We love you and couldn't do without you. So from the Hollywood Hills in Hollywood, California, I am Michael Rosenbaum.
I'm Ryan Tayes. I'm here too.
That's Ryan Tayes right there. We give a little shout, a little wave to the camera. All right. Be good to yourself. We'll see you next week. A lot of great guests coming up. So make sure you tune in and I'll see you soon.